Cool. We're going live in a couple of minutes. Cool, let's get started. I will get it another 30 seconds, then I will get into it. But let's just recap where we left off. Okay, so where we left off was we have our character now walking around left, right, up, down. We've got a subtle idle animation and we've got our walk animation. Now today we're going to work on our attack animation. So it would be kind of handy to have a weapon. So I am going to pull in a dagger here and drop this into our textures folder here. And then we can drag our dagger into our hierarchy window and let's just move it so we can see it. So we have our dagger and we want to put our dagger in our hand, of course. I'm going to use this front arm to attach it to. So let's do arm, front, lower. And let's drag our dagger into here like that. And then if we come up to our dagger position, well, let's come to the transform and just reset it. Now we're kind of behind the body here. If we set it to 6, that will actually bring it in front of everything except for our arm. But if we want to be a little bit more on the safe side, because our arm is actually on layer 6, we can move our arm up to layer 7, which will make sure that it's definitely in front of our dagger, which is on layer 6. And if you look at the other things like our head and body, they're on lower layers, so our dagger will be in front of all these except our front arm, which is what we want. Now then, let's move our dagger into our hand like that. And that's all good, but if we want to kind of rotate the dagger in our hand a little bit to get it pointing in the right direction, we've got a bit of a problem in that if we rotate our dagger, it's rotating around the middle of the blade, which is less than ideal, but is pretty easy to fix. So if we click on our dagger here in our project view, and if we click on Sprite Editor, this is our pivot, and like we saw, we were rotating around this point here. We want to bring this down to the middle of our hilt here. That looks roughly about right. Yeah, I think that'll do, maybe a bit up. Yeah, I think that'll do. Let's apply that, close that, let's click on our dagger now, and hopefully we can see that if we rotate our dagger, it's now rotating around our hilt, which is going to be much handier. But we do need to now move it down back into our hand again. So there you go, we're moving it down into our hand there, and as you can imagine, being able to rotate it a little bit in our hand is going to be pretty handy. Right, let's get on with our attack animation then. So let me save the scene. Let's click on animation. Actually, before that, let's just have a look and see what it looks like if we move our hand around, just so you get a sense of what we can do. Look, you see we've got this dagger in our hand and we can move it around like that, which is pretty cool. Let me undo that. Right, back to animation, and let's click on this drop down and create new clip. Let's make sure we're in our animations folder where our idle and walk is, and we want to add to this our attack animation. Let's click on this record button. Let's make sure we have our arm F_T target selected, and we want to bring our dagger back to about here, ready to thrust forwards. Yeah, so that looks about right, I think. And then if we bring let's see, let's do it at 10, fast thrust forwards, and let's move our arm kind of to there, so we're thrusting forwards like that, which I think looks pretty good apart from our blade going all over the place. Let's copy this first frame and let's bring our dagger back. Well, let's just play this. Yeah, we're thrusting forwards quickly and then we're bringing our dagger back, and that's pretty good. Cool. Now, so we've got the arm motion good, but we kind of want the blade to be pointing in the same kind of direction, and we can kind of do this by clicking on dagger and then, you know, adjusting the rotation so that, you know, do something like this, I guess, where we've got the rotation going forwards. And it's gonna be pretty tricky, to be frank with you, and it's not easy to get. It's doable, but it's not easy to get that to work, right? So there is an easier way, and it's using IK again, right? So let's have a look at how we would add IK to our dagger to get it pointing forwards, you know, in the direction of our thrust, which is what we want to do. So let's save where we're up to. Let's click on our dagger. Let's make sure that this record is off. Right click our dagger, do create empty, and we'll call this dagger underscore E for effector. And very similar to our limbs, right? We move it to the end of our blade like that. And then we click on our character and we want to come to our IK Manager 2D, and again similar to what we did with our limbs, click on this plus, but the important difference here is you want to choose chain CCD, right, because it's not really a limb we're dealing with here. So let's just click on this chain, this top one, and let's drag our dagger effector into this effector box here. And we can't click create target quite yet. We need to increase our chain length to 2, and then we can click create target like this. Let's click on our here to get to our target, and this kind of almost works, right? It's sort of going forwards but then reversing round, just because our target's not far enough forwards, right? So let's just move our target way forwards, and now there you go, we're pointing constantly in the right direction, right? And smoothly as well, which is exactly what IK is good for, right? And if we want to kind of point up like that, so we're kind of stabbing towards the neck, which looks nice and lethal, and I think we'll keep it like that actually. That's kind of looks cool, isn't it? So yeah, I quite like that. So let's rename all these. So what do we have here? We have our solver. So let's call this dagger underscore S for solver. And we have here our dagger underscore T for target. We drag our dagger target into targets, our solver into solvers, and close our solvers because we don't care about them after we've set them up. And yes, anything in targets we want to make sure we are we're saving away inside our animation. So let's do that now so we don't forget. So let's click on record. Let's right click our position of our target, make sure this is highlighted, and then we can right click add key, and that's saved away this thing here in the right position, and then we're good. Yeah. Now, how does that affect our idle and our walk? Well, let's just see, right? Let's say if we're idle, that's kind of okay. Maybe we don't want our dagger to be pointing out quite like that. What about our walk? Again, our dagger's looking a bit lethal going forwards like that. So let's fix this. So if we hit record, make sure we're affecting our target, dagger target here, and let's just have it, I don't know, tucked away a little bit like this, just in front of our face. Does this look good? Yeah, I think so. Maybe it looks like we're stabbing ourselves a bit there. No, I think it's fine. Cool, and let's do our idle, click record, and I think for our idle we kind of want it like that as well, I think. Yeah, I think that's fine. So it's looking a little bit less attacky when we're in those stages. but when we come to our attack, we're all very stabby, which is cool. Now then, let's have a look at our animator. Now we have a problem here, right? That we've got this attack here, and we want to be able to attack when we're idle and when we're walking, right? We don't want to just sort of go into the attack then back into idle, or go into the attack and back into walk, or anything like that, right? We want to do these things simultaneously, right? So that's kind of the clue. We've got layers here, right? And layers are kind of good for having two things happening at once, kind of thing, if you think about it. So this is exactly what we want. We want a layer for our attack animation. Let's delete our attack out of here then, because we don't want it in here. And let's add another layer, which we will call our attack layer. And we want to come to our animations folder and drag our attack animation into here like that and release. Now you may think that we're good now, right? So if we come back to and hit play, you may expect, well, this looks like this is firing, right? And you know, this is all fine, and we can walk around and everything, and you can see that this is firing and this is firing, but we come to this looks like this is firing, but we're not doing anything, right? And this is because we do need to click on this little cog here, and we need to whack our weight up to 1. Easy thing to miss, and a little bit confusing. And then now we're just constantly attacking, right? We're attacking while we're idle, and we're attacking while we're walking, which is not quite what we want, but you know, it's at least we know that we can do both things at the same time, which is what we wanted. But we want to default to not attacking. So how do we do that? Well, we just need another state in here. So if we right click here, create state, and we just want an empty state that we can default to. So set as layer default, like that. And then you will see that we're not attacking anymore, we're just back to that. So we do need to be able to transition into an attack and back again. So let's add those transitions. So we left click on new state, right click, make transition, we get this arrow, left click on our attack, let's click on our attack, right click, make transition. We need to be able to transition back to what is essentially idle. I could rename this idle, I'm not going to bother. And that's good, but how do we trigger these transitions? Well, I've just given the game away by saying trigger, right? So we want to come in here, click here, click trigger, and create an attack trigger, yeah? And then we need to do something with this attack trigger. So we click on this transition and click on this plus here, and we want to do that transition when this attack trigger gets triggered. And we want to do it immediately, so let's get rid of that exit time, and let's open up here and let's 0 this as well. It's a fast attack, so we just want to immediately attack, no transition times or anything. But coming back, so transitioning back from our attack, I want to always make sure that we finished our attack before we we want to finish our attack. So we have an exit time, and our exit time is, if you hover over this, it's normalized, so 1 is end of the attack, right? So, and let's 0 this. So we do our attack and then we snap back to new state. Now we do look as if we're repeating our attack here, which we don't ever want to do. So the other thing we can do here is just click on our attack and get rid of loot time. So our attack will only ever get played once. Right, let's see what all that looks like. So we hit play. We're idle, we trigger our attack, we do the stabby thing, and then we stop attacking. It's a little bit tricky to check while you're walking, so let's just get the script up and running so that we can test it even further. But if you can imagine, this is what we need to do in the script, is we just need to fire this attack trigger here. Let's click on our character. Let's open our move to D. We have our reference to our animator, so we might as well do our attack in here as well, seeing as we've got access to that. And it's very similar to this, right? It's very similar to the move. But instead of setting the speed on our animator, we want to set the trigger. So let's just copy our first line of our move, just because I'm lazy, and rename move to attack, and then we want to underscore animator set trigger attack. It's actually a lowercase a, and that should do the trick, kind of. You'll see there's some caveats, but that's getting there. But if you remember, we had to kind of hook this up, right? It doesn't kind of magically call that attack method. We have to hook that up to our player input, right? Because we don't know what buttons trigger that attack yet. And this is defined again inside our actions here, right? We've defined how we move using the WSD and all this sort of stuff. We have this fire, you know, we kind of got all these defaults that were given to us. And because I'm a little bit lazy, let's just repurpose one of these. So we have fire, and this fire's on left mouse button. Yeah, well, you can attack on left mouse button. Sounds pretty good to me. So let's rename fire to attack. And let's save that. And then let's close that. And then we have to hook it up here. So that's under player, isn't it? We've got the move underneath here. Now we've got this attack underneath here. We want to click this plus here, drag our move 2D, because that holds the method we want to call, or function we want to call. And then under move 2D, there you go, we've got our attack here. So this is the one we want. So let's click on that, save, hit play, keep our fingers crossed. Left mouse, click, and there you go. Now we did attack twice. Well, let me just click and hold, and that's fine. But then if I release, we attack as well. Let's just make sure we, so if I click and hold, we attack. So we are attacking while we're walking as well, which is good. But there's definitely something going a bit awry there, because we don't want to attack as well when we release, yeah? So how do we fix that? Well, what's happening here is that this attack will happen on a mouse down and a mouse up, a left, left mouse button up and down, and we can tell the difference using this context. So let me just show you how that works. So if I do an if context dot started curly brackets, and let's put that in there like that, save, and then this is only true on the mouse down. On the mouse up it isn't true, and so we won't call attack on a mouse up anymore. Let's double check that that is the case. So mouse up, no attack, wandering around, click, click, there you go. We're just getting one stab. Now the only other thing that I want to fix, we're pretty close now, is that I can do 2 clicks in a row and I get 2 stabs, which I don't want really. I want it to have to reset before I can attack again. Then that gives me a bit of control, because I can always sort of increase the length of the animation if I want some kind of cooldown. Whereas I can't do that now, it will actually, I can kind of almost queue up attacks, which is really not what I want. How do I fix that? Well, actually it's not too hard. So what we need to do is we just need to handle the up. The mouse going up. So releasing the mouse button is context.cancelled, and we can reset our trigger, our attack trigger then, and that actually fixes that issue for us. Double click, can't stack attacks now. Perfect. Now that is literally all I have for you today. So I honestly thought our attack was going to take longer than that, but actually that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's, I think because of the IK on the dagger, it's made it a lot simpler to implement a stab attack like that. We didn't have to go in and massage the rotations or anything silly like that. It just kind of works, which is pretty amazing. So we have our walking around, we have our attack animation now. Tomorrow we are going to implement damage. So we will create a script where we take damage from these stabs, or at least another player will take damage from the stabs, and we'll figure out how to do that, and even maybe have a little health bar. We'll see how we get on. Cool. Well, that's about it for today's stream. That was a quick one. A lot going on there though. You learned a lot, I think, with the trigger parameters and the different layers going on there. and another way of using IK, a little bit of hooking up our player input to our script to handle the attack. So that we make sure that we hook this player input up to our script and call the right attack function. Using context to figure out whether it's a mouse down or mouse up event. That's quite a bit different from how you would do it using the previous input system, so that's kind of handy to know how the new player input system works on that side of things. Cool, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks guys.